So, in my island update from over here in Mallorca this week, we're going to be talking about the eco tax or the tourism tax that was widely reported in the local press last week. I've also got some bad news regarding Ryanair too. We're also going to be taking a look at a little bit of worrying news that I've had from a viewer about special assistance over at Palma Airport. Plus, and this is going to be worth sticking around for, I've got some light at the end of the tunnel regarding the new hotel check-in rules in Spain, which I reported on last week. Don't forget as well, we're also going to take a look at the weather forecast for the week ahead. But first, I'm down here on what is a very slightly cloudy Magaluf beach this morning. But don't worry too much because, well, it looks like the sun's coming out. So it's very, very warm down here, but more about the weather later on in this video. But we're going to start this video by talking about the increase in eco tax, in the tourist tax, which was reported last week. Now, according to the comments that I have received on the channel this year, many of you are finding holidaying in Mallorca now to be extremely expensive, not just from the cost of the holidays, but also the cost of everything over here, whether you're paying for drinks, whether you're eating out in restaurants, and the tours, the tickets and attractions, everything seems to have gone up this year. So it has come as a bit of a blow to many holidaymakers to have heard this news story that it looks like they're going to be increasing the tourist tax for next year. Now, this was a government announcement last week, but there has been no indication as to how much this eco tax is going to go up, except for the fact that the local paper speculated that it could double. Now, having a look at that news article, there's not really much substance to saying it's going to double because there's no evidence that it will, just that it's being speculated that it may double. So don't worry too much about it because at present, the eco tax is based on the accommodation that you're staying in. And just to back up a little bit as well, if you're wondering what the eco tax is, it's to help offset the environmental impact of mass tourism as well. It goes towards various environmental projects, although I have to say as well, over in previous years, the eco tax has gone towards some agricultural projects. Post-pandemic, I do believe I had heard that some of the eco tax also went towards Ed Sheeran to give a post-pandemic concert in Palma. Not so great really. And I just want to say as well, this year I'm going to try and get some clarity as to what the eco tax is being used for as well in terms of improving the island environmentally. And I think if we all heard that they'll be improving waste management on the island as well to try and eradicate the red flag situation that we do have in some resorts, especially post-peak season, I think we'd all happily pay a few extra euros for that. So let's find out what it's going to go to. I want to get some clarity and some transparency about this as well. So I'll try and bring you more news about that over the winter too. Now, as I was saying, the amount of tax that you are going to pay for coming over here on holiday, as a broad base, if you're staying in a 4-star hotel, you're going to be paying approximately €3.30 per night for a 7-night stay. That is going to equate to around 23 euros for a week's holiday over here on the island. If the proposed doubling of this tax takes place, it will then turn into 46 euros to be added onto the cost of your holiday for a week. It does seem a bit much. I don't think it's going to come to that, but we shall see moving forward. Now, I have written more about the whole tourist tax and the eco tax as well. I've got an article on my website. I'll drop a link below. You'll find it on MallorcaUndertheSun.com. If you want to calculate how much you're going to pay when you come over, even if you're coming here on the cruise ship as well, you're going to have to pay taxes. And I just want to really make the point as well, for your jump into comments on the video as well, there are other countries in Europe as well which do charge an eco tax or a tourist tax. Italy being one of them. You're going to hear about the new tourist tax over in Venice. Also, you've got the tourist tax over in France, Germany and Greece as well, I believe as well. So it could come to any country at any time. It's not just the Balearic Islands that are doing it, but as you know, and as we have seen as well during the tourism protests, we do have quite a lot of environmental impact on the islands particularly during peak season as well. So any monies recovered from the tourist tax are going to go towards projects in that respect. I also just want to give you another little bit of information for perspective as well, in that residents also have to pay the tourist tax. It's not just you guys. You guys aren't being any way punished in having to pay this eco tax when you come to holiday on the island. If we check into a hotel as residents, we also have to pay the same amount that you do per night. Now, the government has indicated that they'd like to make this free for residents, but I don't think that's going to happen either. Also, as well, just to further clarify the advantages that you guys have staying in the hotels over here on the island as well, you also get access to much better rates than we do as residents. For example, if you're going on a package holiday, you get your flights, your transfers, your accommodation, your luggage allowance, all wrapped up into one price for your holiday, which equates per night in your hotel to be a lot less than we would pay for a night or two if we were going to check in. As an example, I had a friend of mine staying over in, I think it's the Playa Esperanza over in Playa de Muro during the summer. We wanted to check in for a night or two. One night in that hotel in August cost something like €323, which was just ridiculous. I mean, you could get a package holiday for a lot less than a couple of nights. So yeah, we didn't get to stay. We had to do a lot of driving up and down the island to see them. So just to let you know, if you're coming here on holiday, you're going to get preferential rates at the hotels too. So it's not all bad news if you're coming here on holiday. Okay, which moves us on to some news from Ryanair, and this was announced at a press conference over in Dublin with the Ryanair boss Michael O'Leary, who has announced that he wants to get rid of anyone checking in for their flights at airports if you're taking a Ryanair flight, so either using the app or using an online check-in system on their website, but getting away from actually just going to the airport and checking in for the flight, because at present as well, a lot of people are complaining that if they go to the airport to check in, they're being charged around £55 or €55 to check in for their flight. So he wants to get rid of that entirely by making everyone check in beforehand. Now, I've seen some news stories about it. It's been reported in the Irish news, and I would say as well, you know, it's kind of fair enough, because we're seeing a lot of the airlines, particularly in the UK as well. I've noticed that EasyJet over at Bristol Airport, they've got these little self-check-in points. You arrive with your app or your printout on your piece of paper with your code, and you can then check in your luggage and you ticket up your bag and take it to the luggage area yourself, and it removes the need for airline check-in personnel as well. So this is what they want to do away with. They want to obviously save some money as well, pass it on to the consumer by having the low-cost flight. So that's what that is all about. Plus, I have to say as well, don't worry too much. If you are looking at planning your holiday for next year, and if you are coming out and you do use a travel agent, then you may want to get them to check in online for you before you travel and give you the printout of the paper, because essentially what you need is that little QR code as well. It's better if you do have an app on your smartphone, because then you get the updates as well directly on your handset as well. You always get the gate number as well, the boarding gate number, before it appears on the screen at the airport, plus any updates too directly on that app. So again, another great reason to get the app too, but please don't worry too much. It does sound like it's very anti-elderly travelling, but I think it's just really to try and get away from checking in at the very last minute at the airport too. Plus, during peak season, you're going to find as well that sometimes these low-cost airlines will oversell their flights, that they bank on the fact that maybe a few people won't turn up, and they want to run the flights as full as possible. So if you don't check in and you do leave it to the airport, there's a possibility that you might not be able to take your flight. You might get bumps from that flight. So always check in well in advance of your travel day as well, to make sure you actually get a seat on that flight. Don't want to worry you, but I have heard that happen on several occasions. So don't worry too much if you're reading that news. It shouldn't affect your planning too much, but of course we do know how the media do like to sensationalise stories. So from what I can see, you're pretty much all good to go for travel for next year. Just make sure you check in early. Which moves us on to special assistance over at Palma Airport. Now, I have received some worrying comments throughout the summer about your experience of getting a special assistance over at Palma Airport, and I think actually the final straw for me was at the weekend. I had a lovely lady comment on the Mallorca Under the Sun Facebook group, and she said, "Although we love the island, the last few visits at the airport for our special assistance has been a shambles once we've been handed over from our reps to airport staff. It's not worth the hassle for us elderly folk. Mallorca is now off our travel plans until the special assistance at the airport runs efficiently. Now, that's actually super sad to hear, and I'm really sorry about that. I did actually during the summer contact the airport about special assistance, and I didn't hear back from them as well, because I did also pick up a few worrying comments over the summer months too, which is why I'm asking you now for your comments, because I'm going to collate an email with all your comments that have been taken from the summer. I'm going to send them off to the airport, and I want to get some kind of response for them about how they are going to improve special assistance moving ahead into 2025 to give you guys some confidence booking your holiday for next summer. So let me know below, what's your experience been of taking special assistance over at Palma Airport this summer? Let me know below. If you have any issues as well, please just raise them in comments, and I'll pass them all on to Palma Airport, and we'll see what can be done about that as well to make sure it doesn't happen again. Because let's face it, with everything that's going on at the moment with the entry-exit system, the ETIAS visa waiver, if you're coming from the United Kingdom, with the hotel check-in rules, the last thing you need as well is just special assistance not working as well. It's a lot to cope with, particularly if you are elderly coming over. So let's see what can be done about that. Which moves us on to, and I do have some potentially good news regarding the hotel check-in rules in Spain. Now, if you watched my video from last week, and if you haven't, I'm going to pin it below. I'll pin it at the end of this video as well. Go and check it out, because my goodness me, the backlash I had about talking about the new hotel check-in rules that are going to be happening right across Spain as of December really led to some comments on the channel from a lot of holidaymakers saying they're never going to come back to Spain regarding the amount of information, personal information that's being asked for, or that's going to be asked for by hotels. And I was referring to the BOE, which is the official state bulletin from here in Spain. I was reading from that as well about the kind of information that they're going to be asking for as of December. However, I did receive a comment from the Facebook group, and I think it's from a Mallorquin who's actually living in the UK at the moment, in reference to a programme that he was watching on the Spanish channel called Onda Cero. And he said, after a meeting between the hotelier's lobby and the Home Secretary of the Ministry of the Interior, Don Fernando Grande Malasca, hope I pronounced that properly, it looks like the government is backtracking on the idea of collecting data from tourists. More info to come soon. So he also went on to say as well that this information was taken from a TV show called La Linterna, which is on Onda Cero, the TV channel, and it's where top journalists hold a daily political debate and broadcast news from legitimate sources. They interview top politicians, including ministers and even the Prime Minister, and it's absolutely reliable. He's also sent me a link to an article in Spanish from the El País newspaper. I'll drop a link to that below as well if you want to go and check that out. But the good news is that it looks like it's being discussed further. It's not a done deal, and I'm pretty sure, looking at the comments on last week's video, it's good to know that maybe they're reconsidering it, or maybe it's just something that they can't legally do either, particularly regarding the banking information. Now, I do have a video which I want to make, and I want to put it out in a few weeks, probably it might have to be after the holiday season, actually about the future of travel as well, that you're going to find quite mind-blowing. So watch out for that video too. It's in response to a lot of your comments as well, so that's going to be one to watch in the future. But in the meantime, if we get any updates about the hotel check-in rules, I'm going to bring them here on one of my Monday morning update videos, so keep an eye on that, and hopefully we'll get some news before we head on into December. So yeah, let's see what happens with that, which leads us on to the weather forecast for the week ahead. Now, if you're looking out onto Magaluf Beach this morning, you're going to think it's not looking fantastic. It's looking a little bit grim, but really it's absolutely sweltering down here. Don't look at your app, the weather forecast on your phone app, because I always use the Met Office in Spain, AMET. I check their weather forecast, and it's largely quite accurate. And if we look at the weather forecast for the week ahead, we can see that while we do have a few sporadic showers coming into the island on Tuesday morning and possibly on Saturday afternoon, we've got largely quite a lot of sunshine forecast for the week ahead. little bit of clouds in places. It's going to be a little bit windy at times as well, but it is still incredibly warm here. And we've got highs of 29 degrees, we've got lows of 17. It actually feels like it's warmed up from a couple of weeks ago. We were on the edge of autumn, not anymore it seems, seem to have gone back into summer. And after talking to some lovely viewers who I met over in Sakoma and Siliot just the other week, Gaz and Jules, they said to me they've just stopped looking at the weather apps when they're on holiday, because you literally can't believe what you read as well on them. Just come over, have a really good holiday. Don't worry too much if it shows if it's going to be cloudy or rainy. I think looking at the beach and at the clouds this morning, the sun is going to be back out over Magaluf Beach later on this afternoon, so don't worry too much. If you're looking at the weather forecast and it's looking gloomy, it's going to be far from it. You're still going to get plenty of sun if you're coming over. Okay everyone, thanks very much for watching. I'm going to be out and about in the resorts this week. Come and say hi if you see me. I'm going to be making loads more video content to help you out with your holiday, with you coming for the final few weeks of the season, or you're thinking of coming next year as well. Don't forget as well, if you have any holiday questions, come and join the Mallorca Under the Sun Facebook group. Follow the Facebook page as well. But in the meantime, thanks for watching, and I shall see you on the next video. Goodbye for now.